History is often painted in simple colors, as if the world moved only in black and white, victor and defeated, ruler and ruled. Yet the truth is far more complex, filled with moments where light and shadow blended so closely that separating them becomes impossible. From ancient times to the modern age, black and white histories have not moved on separate roads. They have collided, merged, conflicted, and shaped each other in ways that textbooks often soften or silence. This is not a story of one side alone, but of humanity walking together through cruelty, courage, betrayal, and hope. Long before the idea of race hardened into rigid lines, Africa was home to powerful civilizations whose influence reached far beyond their borders. Kingdoms like Kush, Mali, Songhai, and Axum controlled trade routes, minted gold, built universities, and negotiated with Europe as equals. In Timbuktu, scholars wrote books on law, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy, while much of Europe was still emerging from internal chaos. At the same time, in Europe, kingdoms were rising and falling, driven by ambition, religion, and war. These two worlds were not strangers. They traded, communicated, and learned from one another, even though later history would pretend otherwise. As Europe's hunger for wealth grew, exploration turned into exploitation. Ships crossed oceans not just to discover, but to dominate. The Atlantic slave trade became one of the darkest chapters in human history, transforming black bodies into commodities and white profit into global power. Millions of Africans were ripped from their homes, their names erased, their languages forbidden, and their families shattered. This was not an accident of history, but a system carefully designed, justified by false ideas of racial superiority. Churches blessed it, scientists defended it, and governments protected it. Yet even within this cruelty, resistance never died. Enslaved people rebelled on ships, escaped plantations, preserved their culture in songs and stories, and fought back in every way possible. While black people were chained, many white people were not free either, though their suffering took different forms. Poor Europeans labored in brutal conditions, sent to die in endless wars or starve in industrial cities. Power rested in the hands of elites who benefited from division. Race became a weapon, convincing the poor white man that he was superior to the enslaved black man, even while both were exploited by the same system. This illusion kept rebellion fractured and injustice alive. Revolution shook the world in the 18th and 19th centuries. The American Revolution spoke of liberty while keeping slavery intact. The French Revolution cried for equality while its colonies burned under forced labor. But in Haiti, something unprecedented happened. Enslaved Africans rose up, defeated European armies, and created the First Black Republic. It terrified slave-owning societies everywhere. Haiti's victory proved that the lie of black inferiority was just that. The punishment was severe. Economic isolation and political sabotage were imposed to make Haiti an example of what happens when the oppressed dare to win. The 19th century marched forward with contradictions. Abolition movements grew, often led by both black and white voices. Formerly enslaved people wrote powerful narratives exposing the truth of slavery, while some white allies risked their lives to help fugitives escape. Yet even after abolition, freedom came without equality. In the United States, Reconstruction offered a brief glimpse of possibility before it was crushed by violence, laws, and terror groups designed to restore white dominance. In Europe, colonialism expanded deeper into Africa and Asia, draining resources and rewriting history to justify control. Science, which should have been a tool for truth, was twisted to serve racism. Pseudo-scientific theories ranked human beings by skin color, skull size, and imagined intelligence. These ideas entered schools, politics, and popular culture, shaping generations of belief. Meanwhile, black achievements were minimized or erased. Inventors, soldiers, thinkers, and leaders disappeared from official records, their contributions absorbed into a narrative that centered whiteness as progress itself. The 20th century brought world wars that exposed the hypocrisy of empires. Soldiers fought and died for freedoms they did not fully enjoy. In Europe, African and Caribbean troops defended nations that still treated them as second class. In the United States, black veterans returned home to segregation and violence. At the same time, ordinary white citizens also suffered under authoritarian regimes.
Hi. Global conflict. Fascism revealed how easily ideas of
Superiority could turn inward, destroying millions labeled as inferior or undesirable. Out of the ashes of war, new movements rose. Civil rights struggles challenged segregation and colonial rule. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, and many others became symbols of resistance, though their movements were larger than any single name. Importantly, these struggles were not fought by black people alone. Many white allies marched, protested, and sometimes died alongside them. Change came not from skin color, but from courage. Yet progress was uneven. Laws changed faster than minds. Racism adapted, becoming quieter but no less powerful. Economic gaps widened, prisons filled, and global inequalities persisted. Former colonies gained flags but not full control of their wealth. Meanwhile, many white working-class communities also felt ABA endowed, fueling resentment that was often redirected toward minorities instead of systems of power. History in black and white is not a simple tale of villains and heroes divided by skin. It is a story of systems that rewarded cruelty and punished empathy, of people taught to fear one another instead of questioning injustice. It is also a story of connection. Music born in black pain shaped global culture. Ideas of freedom born in struggle reshaped nations. Shared blood was spilled in wars, revolutions, and movements that pushed humanity forward even when the cost was unbearable. Today, the past still breathes in the present. Debates over statues, textbooks, and memory reveal that history is not finished. It lives in laws, neighborhoods, opportunities, and wounds passed down through generations. Understanding history in black and white does not mean choosing sides. It means refusing lies. It means acknowledging pain without denying humanity. It means seeing that the future depends on truth, not comfort. When history is finally told honestly, it loses its harsh borders. Black and white stop being opposing forces and become parts of a shared human story. One filled with injustice, yes, but also with resilience and the constant possibility of change